call the Property Management Committee to order. First order of business is approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Motion passed. First order on the agenda is sewer easement request affecting the Whitworth Buchanan Middle School property. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, did Becky put that on there? Yes, she did, but anyway, what you got is 4 or 5 legal pages there. And you remember that we purchased 5-point-something acres, I think, of additional property out at Whitworth Buchanan School from the Maples family. And when the school board made those arrangements, it was obvious there was a necessity for continuation of sewer across the property so we could have the sewer, plus so Maples property could have their access to sewer. Okay, so this is just something that could have come through and should have come through back with the actual purchase itself, but they didn't have all these easements drawn, you know, with legal descriptions, etc. So we're just now getting this, so we need an official approval to take this forward to grant these easements to the city of Murfreesboro so that the Maples development, along with us, will have the proper access to that sewer that's out there with our new property and with what they're trying to do with their development of their property adjacent to us. This has been reviewed by our county attorney and by the engineers and by even the city of Murfreesboro. So all this is legal definitions that you can see here, but we think it's in order, and the school board has reviewed this and approved this already before we have. So it should be a matter of just routine, but since the county owns the property, the county has to grant the easement. It's not something the school board can do without us approving that process.
Any discussion?
That's where, is it Murfreesboro paid us $1?
Did they pay us $1 for this easement? But it, they,
For the
I don't know,
consideration
you
in
read
the
that
sum of
more
$1.
detail than I did, okay.
And cash in hand.
They have to
paid
put
us.
some, I guess they have to put some
The-
value
the
there.
first-
Yeah.
Some
First-
consideration.
First consideration, so yes, there you go.
I hope we get the $1.
Yeah, and I hope they remember.
To the school?
The sewer's already there.
Yeah.
But to get sewer across our property that we bought over to the Maples property, and it's a bit complicated. It's 2 separate easements here, but it's a continuation of the process. And in the course of agreeing to sell the property, we agreed to allow these easements, etc.
That substation that they built.
It was sort of part of the whole deal, but yet we didn't know about it till just a couple of weeks ago that this was needed some actual. They thought we could just execute these documents, and I told them we couldn't. I told them the county commission had to authorize these easements.
And we didn't get an additional discount on the
That's
sale
what I
price.
was gonna bring up.
Oh,
We just need to make a mental.
it's not going to impair our property, and it's going to help both entities to move forward.
So moved.
Got a motion? Second? Do I hear a second? I got a second. Any discussion? Any more discussion? If not, I guess call the roll since it's dollars involved.
$1 involved.
Yeah.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Coggan?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Mayor, are you going to talk about these other easements?
Now, you may
These appear to
have
be
this.
different.
They are different. What you got here, Becky, was the first pass at this, and this is not accurate anymore. So do away with that one. You don't have that one. The one I just gave you just now
Latest and
The
greatest.
is 2 easements, but it is the one that's the accurate, appropriate
Okay.
easements. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, next, sale of existing surplus property.
All right, we're gonna let Mr. Davidson bring you up to date on this process.
Good afternoon. If you look at the spreadsheet there in front of you, the two properties that are outlined in green, we disposed of, sold according to the law back in March and April last year for a total of $28,100. At that same advertisement, we had the Dismal Hollow property. We didn't receive a qualified bid on that. We have received an offer of $2,000. The second page of that of the handout I gave you has an outline of that piece of property and some of the pertinent information. You can see that it's a landlocked piece of property. As a matter of fact, when this person bought his 24 acres, he thought he's purchasing these 4 acres in question, and the deed wasn't accurate though. He's willing to pay $2,000 to get the deed correct, to get possession of these 4.4 acres. We just advertised on 10 August 5 more pieces of property. That's Sand Hill, Holly Grove, Midland Foster, Fosterville, Baker Road, and Trimble Road. We received 2 qualified bids on those pieces of property, the Sand Hill and the Holly Grove Road, and we're ready to sell those.
Sand Hill and Laverne?
Yes, ma'am. But we did not receive qualified bids on the Midland, Fosterville, Baker, and Trimble Road. And you can see, again, there's another attachment there. And if you take a look at that, you can see probably why we didn't receive a qualified bid. The Midland, Fosterville is a strip of land that probably gave somebody, it was an easement at one point in time to a lower adjacent piece of property. Baker Road, not quite sure why we didn't receive a bid on that. It's there might be some problems in terms of building a structure there, the setback that's required. And then the Trimble Road, that is another landlocked piece of property, so it's going to be probably difficult to find a buyer for that. 2 other pieces of property on Lydale Road and Windrow Road, those are under legal review in terms of how those properties may have been or may not have been properly redeemed, so we're going to have to do a little more study on that, see what we need to do. And then we have 2 other pieces of property that were donated to the county. That's on Claude Jones and Cohen Hill Road, and I have some information. I want to take a look at those. Oops. Hand those out. And we want to sell these, but they weren't brought to the county's possession due to the delinquent tax. They were just donated to the county, so we have to use the same process, which is a rather cumbersome process, to dispose of these 2 pieces of property. And what we'd like to do, seeing that it's difficult to get sellers to this, is advertise it as best we can and try to negotiate with the buyer to get the best price we can for the county.
Okay. Backing up just a little bit. Dismal Hollow, the third one you see there, where it was in the group that we advertised for sale in August. Well, in fact, we advertised it in March and August, and we've not got a bid that's equal to our cost that's required by this process. And it's not likely we're going to get a bid that's equal to our cost. We have an offer of $2,000. What we want to take this in at least 2 steps. This step, we'd like for you to authorize us, and this is part of the language in this new law that allows us to do this delinquent property this way. We'd like for you to authorize us to sell that property for no less than $2,000. Now, we have, if you approve that, then we have to take it to the full commission to get their permission to do that. So we've had extended discussions about this, so we'd like for you to authorize the mayor to go forward with the effort to find a sale for this piece of property at a price no less than $2,000. So that's the first step we want you to take, and these others are a little bit different.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Got a motion, do I have a second? Got a second? Any more discussion?
Is somebody that owns this auction?
That's the person we've been talking to and trying our best to get an offer on that we think it's not going. Nobody else would have a need. It's
There's
already
no road to it.
It's already at the end of a dead end. It's past the end of a dead end road already,
I see.
and then it's landlocked by one owner. So if
Can we negotiate with him and see?
well, we could. You're authorizing us to negotiate. We've already
Okay,
tried to
okay.
negotiate a bit, but give us the the ability to continue this process with the authority to sell it if we can get a price equal to or greater than $2,000
You said the current owner owns all of the land around it.
around that parcel.
Within that red line, you see here.
How did we get here?
It like,
Yeah.
all kinds of things happen when deeds get drawn and people transfer property and give over property. And over the course of time, people that thought they owned that piece of property legally, when we did all this research, and so it turned up nobody was paying taxes, and now we got it. And we've had it a while, years we've had this, and it's now finally just come to light through this process of us identifying all these
Peace.
parcels that are available out there that have delinquent taxes. So we're trying, it's just a matter, we gotta clean up some of this, and if we can,
And get it back on the tax roll.
Right.
That's what we want.
at some price.
Any more discussion? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Coggin?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
And those two that are in salmon colored there, you don't have to do anything. You've already granted authority for us to exercise, and if we got a price equal to or greater than what the outstanding costs were on that property, including the taxes in it, then, you know, you've authorized us to
What's
to
your
actually
address
sell
on Sand
those.
Hill Road? Do you have an address on it?
Sand Hill.
It's in my district, that's why.
I just have the property, is it Sand Hill Road? This is the Sand Hill Road piece of property.
Yeah, I've got that here. And
It doesn't have a street address in our system, apparently.
Okay,
But anyway, we got a bid that exceeded what the outstanding penalty, interest, and property taxes were, so we're all authorized without any further approval to just go ahead. So this is just a matter of information on those two, okay? Now, Mr. Davidson can go back and talk about the other 5 properties, which are Midland, Fosterville, Baker Road, Trimble, and Claude Jones and Coleman Hill. Those first 3 I just named off, we didn't get a bid. And we think it's going to be extraordinarily difficult to get a bid. So we'd like to couple those 3 are a little different from the bottom 2. And they are delinquent properties now. And the statute says that if we're unable to get a bid and we think we're not going to be able to sell those, then we are again authorized to do what we just did on Dismal Hollow. We'll have to find if we can get a price or an offer, and then when we get that price or offer, the commission, property management and the commission will have to give us authority to sell it. So what we want you to do on those first 3, since they have to be treated differently
Yes, sir.
from the last 2, is to give the mayor the authority to solicit bids through some combination of whatever process it is, but it will be a public process to try to obtain some sort of offer on those bids, at which time we receive those offers, we'll have to come back to the property management committee for their approval and/or recommendation to send it forward to the commission. Since they are delinquent properties, we can't sell them until the full legislative body agrees with the price. But we'd like for you to agree that it's not likely we're going to be able to sell those through this process that's first enumerated, just like has occurred on Dismal Hollow Road, okay? So we need a motion on those 3 that would basically say you're authorizing the mayor to use whatever resources he can through a public process to obtain offers on those 3 properties. And we'll bring back those offers when we get them, hopefully, for your consideration to get final approval from the commission.
I'll move for that, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Midland and Fosterville, that's not that close to the fire department, is it?
Well, I don't know where it is precisely, but it's a strip about 20 feet wide and about 400 feet long. And that's what we're dealing with here. It's an easement of some sort that So that we have to deal with, it seems somebody thinks that's a value to them, okay?
Fruit stand.
And just to let you know, when we did advertise these, anybody within 250 feet of that property, a property within 250 feet of the property we were trying to sell, got a notice
Okay,
that we were trying to sell this property.
good.
We're probably spending more than what it's gonna bring on advertising.
That's about right. But anyway, we have to try.
That's not anywhere near the,
It's not.
this is all wooded area.
Okay, any more discussion?
Shooting game range.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Coggan?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yeah.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yep.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Okay. These next two properties were given over to us. They're donated properties. They do have road frontage. They're not surrounded. They're not landlocked. We don't know if there's a soil site here. That's probably something that may not occur. But in any event, we don't have to take them through the full same process. But we'd still like for you to just go ahead and authorize the mayor to use whatever resources he can to obtain bids on these properties and bring it back to you for your approval, if we can get an offer. We'll do it through a public process.
So moved.
Motion, second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion?
Who's your second?
Commissioner Bond.
And since we don't have any dollars involved here yet, you can just authorize this because
Yeah.
you'll approve the dollars later.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right, like auction.
Motion passed. Okay.
Y'all have any questions about this process that we've been through?
About the 14 acres on State Route 840.
Well, where?
That one's not, it's on the,
It's on there, it's just
Oh,
at the bottom.
that, we don't own that.
Getting ready.
Somebody has suggested they might want to give that to us, and we're having such a hard time dealing with gifts of property, we're not sure we want it. All right, but then we'll have to,
and it is not on 840. It's
off of 840.
Off of close.
That's just
to-
the description in the.
Coleman Hill, what was that we had last year that it was all rocks?
That's it.
That's it. Well, now listen, Rutherford County is all rocks.
No, it's some good dirt out there.
That I had hauled in.
Okay, next judicial building parking garage update.
All right, this is no action required. I'm just going to give you a brief update here.
Good.
You all remember that we've had an agreement to purchase that property that goes way back, and through that discovery of our seeing if there was any liabilities there was, as we've already reported to you, there were some fuel storage tanks identified there. They were removed at the cost of the owners of the D&J property and certified that everything was clear and nothing else is left there. There's no damage to the dirt. So all of that, we've got a certificate from both their people that cleaned that up and from our own engineers that everything's okay. All that being said, then we continue to get this thing closed. We've had it surveyed in its entirety so we could get the deed properly drafted and drawn. And that survey was completed on July the 10th. We actually closed the purchase of the property on August the 15th. So we own the property now. It is ours and available for us to use as we move forward. Through the course of these, we've had like 3 different lease amendments. The first one is so extended the time we had for our due diligence. And then the last one, they have one, even though we found 3 and we hope that's all the tanks, we've added language in there that if anything else is found, any more tanks are found, they will accept the responsibility and the liability of cleaning them up. So we've got that. If we somehow discover another one in the course of construction, it's their responsibility to remove those and take care of their environmental issues, if any. And coupled with that, we've given them 6 months of occupancy of that building at no rent. They'll pay the utilities, and they'll leave it broom swept, and if any repair or maintenance is needed, it's their responsibility. So they have up to 6 months to find another place to move, okay? And then we're not going to need it before then anyway. But anyway, that was part of our agreement, and which was reasonable in that they took this additional responsibility for anything else environmental with respect to any underground tanks. Okay, with saying all that, you know that we've approved a relationship with the PBA to manage this project, and they are doing just that. They meet routinely and every month for sure, and sometimes more than that. But they have done 2 things. They've issued requests for qualifications for an owner's project representative. And at the same time, they also issued a request for qualifications for architectural services. And they got 5 firms responded on the owner's project rep. 11 firms have responded to them on the architectural services. Their first course of events was to actually shortlist those lists of owner's project responders. Out of those 5 firms, they have actually selected an owner's rep, and the name of that company is Pinnacle Construction Partners, and they have actually signed an agreement for them to be. They are going to be standing in our stead, you might say, in all respects, with interfacing with the architect, and whenever we have a construction manager and all of us that are on the design team and whatever, they're going to sort of be the glue that coordinates all this together. So they're in place. The next step is to shortlist the 11 firms that have responded on the architectural services. They're going to shortlist that group to 5 at their meeting on September the 4th. And then when they do that, they will interview those 5 candidates, and they'll pick one of those. And then at that point, actual design will begin. If you remember, we've used a couple of times a firm called Justice Planning, and they've done the space definitions and the actual review and projections of the cost and all of that for us. So you've seen that thick report that they prepared. They are still engaged in that they're going to be the person that continues to firm up these space allocations and with respect to all of the needs that we have from every various occupant that's going to be of that building. So they're going to be involved. They've already revisiting what they've came up with back here, how many years ago that was. They finished that final report, just to be sure that we're still on place, and they're revisiting and re-interviewing even all the potential users. So they're going back through with a fine-tooth comb to be sure what they've come up with is still appropriate. And they will be a group that helps us be sure that when we actually design this building that we stay within these estimates that are being made, so that we don't just get completely out of control on the cost and the space and the size of all this. And that's about it, Mr. Chairman. Now, you know, when we set up this relationship with the PBA, we have a couple of committees in place. One is the Design Review Committee, and one is the actual Construction Oversight Committee. And I'll remind you who the members of the Design Review Committee, who they are. The chairman of the PBA or his designee, the county mayor or his designee, the circuit court clerk or her designee, the programmatic advisor, and that's Justice Planning, they're on there, or its designee, the property management committee chairperson or his or her designee, and then this project manager that we've now put in place, or their designee, whoever they choose out of their firm. and the presiding judge or his designee. And without objection, I think we should add the sheriff or his designee. So I think it'd be appropriate, Mr. Chairman, if you just reaffirm that we have this Judicial Services Center Design Review Committee, which under the terms of the previous resolution, it included the first 7 people I mentioned, but I'd like for you to officially just go ahead and put in there, I recommend that we add the sheriff or his designee so we can have them involved precisely in this security discussion. So that's the only thing I'm asking you to do as far as action. The rest of this is just a report.
So we will make the committee with 8 members instead of
Yeah, add
7?
an 8th member to the Design Review Committee, the sheriff or his designee.
Okay.
Do you want it to reconfirm
No,
the
just-
design committee
just-
and add an 8th member?
Let's just say, let's just add an 8th member because the 7
Okay.
members have already been approved by you and the whole full commission previously.
Add an 8th member, which would be the sheriff.
That's right. Or his designee.
Yeah.
That's the way all of the others are defined.
Any discussion on that?
Who made the motion?
Well, it's not a motion yet.
I'll make a motion to approve the mayor's
We got a
recommendation.
motion,
Second.
got a second.
Have we, review my memory, have we decided on the height, the stories, or?
No, sir.
That's, okay, so
That's all yet to come with all of this discussion among our architect, engineer, and
Design
really,
and architect.
we'll have input in our design committee.
It's anywhere from 6 to 11.
Yeah.
Depending on what plan
Well, I know
you're
we looked at several plans, but we haven't.
No, we haven't designed it, no.
It's another thing that's gotta be added is that the city of Murfreesboro is looking at making Lytle Street the main thoroughfare from Broad Street. And we're sitting right there on Lytle Street, and I don't know if they're gonna, what their plans are.
Well, we've
But-
already
but we
had
need to
it.
stay
We've
on
had a
top
couple
of
of
that.
meetings with them. We'll be the first piece of Lytle Street. No, the first piece is gonna be right down at Broad, because they've already committed, the
Yeah.
city of Murfreesboro has to do the work down at Broad and Lytle to rearrange that intersection there and take care of signalization and everything. So we'll be next on the list up there. We want to cooperate with him if this Lytle Street is going to be redesigned. When we do our construction, it's certainly advisable for us to comply with that design now. We don't want to do something that we have to undo later. So we don't know what all this is going to amount to, but this will be a lot easier for us to do it now when we design this thing and when we place the building and when we design how the street and the sidewalks and the curbs and all that. It would. So they've already informed us that we've had a little informal meeting and they're going to engage an engineer to actually start that design process so we can integrate that with what we're doing and we won't miss a beat, hopefully.
Okay, and they're gonna keep.
We
us
can do it
informed.
concurrently. The
Should we-
biggest expense is going to be, they're proposing that all these utilities be underground, so it's a heavy amount of electrical lines and fiber optics and everything else in the world there, so, but I think it'll be worth it long-term, but it's gonna put a little bit of extra cost into it.
That was gonna have to be done anyway.
Somewhere,
Yeah.
Down the line.
Yeah.
They're going to that, not only commercial, but residential all over, if they can do it. Should we have a representative, working with the Murfreesboro City, or?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, we'll, all of this team of folks I've told you about, especially our architect, engineer, and our project manager people, will be working with them.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're on that.
Okay.
It'll be their responsibility to work, and they, even if we weren't doing Lytle Street, they'd have to be working with the city of Murfreesboro on meeting their code requirements and all of that anyway. So that's part of the routine process of any project like this.
Okay. Any more discussion on the project? Any questions? I think this is for information only, except
we
we
have a
got the
motion?
motion on.
You still got that one
for-
motion on adding.
For the adding the 8th person. Can we think of anybody else that, while we at it, that need to be added to this committee besides the sheriff department?
There may be someone else that someone thinks of.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
But this might be enough to start with.
I'm thinking you don't want to get too big.
We don't want to get too big, but I don't want to leave a play out and they squawk about it down the road. Any more discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Anything else?
I've got two other items under other business. These are really kind of questions or comments, and they have to do with roads, and so I thought I'd bring them up here. I have a couple of constituents who live in the county in neighborhoods. These are neighborhood roads, and these constituents are concerned about the speed of traffic, and they want to know whether speed bumps can be put on these roads. My understanding is that the county doesn't put speed bumps on any county roads anywhere in the county. But I know that some counties have speed bumps because I've seen them. And so my question, or maybe my request, would be, maybe this committee would be the appropriate place to have someone come and tell us why speed bumps are either not allowed or just simply not put on county roads in Rutherford County. And I don't know whether Mr. Brooks would be the person to do that or not, but if he would be willing to give us a 5-minute explanation, I'd be interested in the explanation, and I'd tell some of these constituents that they could turn on the TV and hear the explanation. It may be a good explanation, or it may be not a very good explanation, but when people in the county are concerned about speed of traffic on neighborhood roads, I want to know what are our options, what can we do about it. So that's my first item. And maybe at our next meeting someone could address it or explain it to me and then the constituents at the same time.
I think that's come up. You'll have new committees coming up here. On September the 11th. You'll have committees. This is something the Public Works Committee routinely addresses, and they do revise speed limits. Okay, that comes through the road board. So they have a separate body that oversees these roads. So these requests will have to start with the road board, but we could start with the request with the Public Works Committee and that chairperson to ask for this explanation first. And then if there are specific, the streets that they want addressed, then that could be part of the explanation. They would take that request to the road board. Now, if the road board and the superintendent have decided they're not going to do speed bumps, they could tell us why. But in the event they do say no, then a request could be made to review the actual speed limits that are set in there, and they routinely change these speed limits from time to time.
Okay, so I should make my request.
Whoever your next chairperson is,
Public Works chairperson.
I think that would be the.
Joe Frank gave those readings.
Mhm.
And a lot of times if they just put a speed limit sign up, because a lot of these county roads and neighborhoods don't have speed limits,
Mhm.
and people's not conscious of it. And I've ran into that situation several times, and just by putting up a speed limit sign kind of helps. But I've asked for speed bumps before, and it was years ago.
It's kind of
frowned upon.
It's kind of my understanding, but I want to follow up on it. And then the second item I have, which is a question, we had in the budget committee a motion to finish paving some roads that developers and builders were really supposed to. I've had a couple of people ask me who the bonding companies were that held the bonds for these builders.
Well,
is that information that we know or would give out? They asked me, and I don't know who the bonding
only
company.
Only one bonding company has failed to honor their bond, and I think the name of that is Safeguard. But I will confirm that. Yes, we know who it is because we are in litigation with them even right now.
Right, that's what I explained. That's what I have been explaining, is that the builder had a bond and that the bond company isn't honoring their commitments. My understanding is that in the past we have had success dealing with this particular bonding company, but in this matter we're not having success, and so we've got it in litigation.
Actually, this bonding company had a bond on a smaller project, and they honored it.
That's what I.
And then this one now,
we've had success with them before, but not in this matter. And
but most of all of these projects that we're having to do this on were letters of credit that had been held by banks, and banks foreclosed, and only on one of the projects were we able to get the bank to partner with us. I mean, there's some whole lot of legal discussion issues here about how you foreclose and whether you foreclose on lots or whether you foreclose on meets and bounds. But the banks finally found out if they foreclosed on lots, then we couldn't come back on them. So it's a pretty technical kind of process. But the bond issue is only on one. We've had about 5 of these, I think, or maybe 6. So most of them were bank foreclosures that we had to deal with, and there was no way to get in anybody's purse, you might say, through a legal means, except on one of them there
We
was.
need to get a law changed at the state level on that a bank can't foreclose on a neighborhood without the. They need to
But not accepting the bond.
You think the name of the bonding company is Safeguard?
Safeguard, if you will come by in just a moment, I'll tell you for sure what the name is.
And as a follow-up to that, I guess I know we're changing our procedures, and so this bonding procedure isn't going to be used anymore. I don't know if it's already been discontinued or not.
It's already been discontinued.
Already been discontinued. So this wouldn't happen again from that bonding company because we're not even accepting bonds.
We're not going to accept bonds from
It's already
anyone.
changed.
Right.
I knew it was going to change, but it's already changed. Okay.
Yes.
Those are my only 2 items.
And that would probably fall under Public Works also, but it's no problem.
It's okay. It's commission business.
Right, it's commission business. Any other business need to come before this committee? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
There is speed bumps over.